Hello, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Go ahead and just drop where you're watching from. Super excited today to have Latasha James on. If you guys aren't familiar with Latasha, she's a top marketing strategist, online educator, also the host of the Freelance Fridays podcast. Hi, Latasha.
Hi, Anison. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Excited to chat about LinkedIn. I feel like it's a forgotten about social media platform,
Yeah, yeah.
People talk
So,
about Instagram all the time, but LinkedIn is where it's at for sure.
especially when I think about auditing LinkedIn, I don't know about everyone else, but it's a little bit overwhelming and kind of stressful because in a professional platform, it feels like your verbiage and everything needs to be almost perfect or spot on. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna run through kind of first some, general auditing tips for LinkedIn, best practices, and then we're gonna live audit some accounts that have been sent to us. And yeah, a lot of these tips and also the live auditing, you can take back to your own strategies and pull some ideas. So yeah, let's get into it.
Sounds good.
So when you go, either for your own account or if you're helping someone else, what are kind of the main checklist things that you run through when auditing a LinkedIn account?
Yeah, I mean, I think a LinkedIn profile, it still is the one social platform that is a professional social platform. Like no matter what, no matter what level in your career you are, that is the purpose of it. So I think definitely looking to show off your skills and experience is kind of the, original intention. It kind of used to be like this resume, almost like a living resume. Nowadays, I think you can have a lot more fun with it than just listing off all the jobs that you've had, but you still do want to make sure that you are really like amplifying your experience and your skills as best as you can. And I always I always have to remind people like this is your place to show off a little bit. I know sometimes it might feel weird to be like, "Oh, I got this award or I did this," but you really want to highlight all of those little pieces that might be interesting to a potential employer, a potential client, potential collaborator, investor. So yeah, experience is a big one. There's so many different ways to highlight your experience. There's the actual work experience, which is kind of like the resume part. So making sure that you're really bringing that to life and not just listing off, hey, I worked at this job 2 years ago, but really telling a story about what you did in that position, what impact you had on the company. There's also some cool sections too. I know some of our examples make good use of it. There's like a highlights feature where you can highlight different updates that you post.
Mhm.
So I use that for press or, if I get mentioned in a big article or do something cool with a brand, I might like tag that onto my profile. So it's kind of like a pinned post on
Mhm.
Instagram. You can kind of think of it that way. Um, so yeah, I think there's lots of different ways to showcase
Yeah.
experience. But I think the other piece of it, sorry, I was just
No,
going to say the other
but
piece of it is that it's social. Like it isn't just like a flat black and white boring resume. Like you also want to add personality to that experience. And I think how you do that is through updates and conversation and really the community features of LinkedIn.
yeah. When I think this is a random, I just thing I had that pop into my mind, but when I think of like the skills and the badges,
Hmm.
I mean, I guess when we're thinking about marketing in particular, what are ones that are, kind of ones that stand out or ones that maybe people should try to go for if they're wanting to earn those?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it depends on what you want to do. I think in our world, like if you're a social media manager, social media management, social media marketing, community management, but really figuring out like what your key skill is going to be. Because as we know, first of all, the world of social media management is so broad.
Mhm.
There's so many different skills within that. Like, do you do organic social? Do you do ads? Do you do copywriting, more design, video? Like there's so many different things. So my advice, as always, is to figure out what you really do want to do within the social media world, like what you really want to specialize in. Because I think we're in that, season of the industry, I guess, where like specialty, I think, is really important. Um, but yeah, I think figuring out what those few keywords are going to be for you and trying to rank for those.
Yeah. And then this is a question that I always think about of, if you are adding in your resume or adding in sample work, do you think where's a good place to kind of showcase that on your
Mhm.
on your profile?
Yeah, there are a few places. So there's the like the highlights feature, which you could just post a regular update and then you can choose to basically keep it on your profile. So that's cool to do. Like I said, I do that if I get like mentioned in an article, I want to share it with my audience and post it because it looks cool on my profile, I guess.
Mhm.
Works kind of as social proof. But then you can also add it within even your work experience section. If there are special, maybe not your full resume, but there might be special projects. Like maybe, let's just say at Metricool, you worked on a cool study or report or something, and you want to save the PDF or the link to that within your work experience and say, hey, this is something that I did while at Metricool. You can do that for like individual jobs or projects that you work on too. So I think that's a really cool way to showcase some of the work that you've done. And then there's also kind of like a portfolio section too. So
Mhm.
you can even add personal projects. I know when I was first, before I had any cool experience or anything like that, and I was just trying to make my way in the social media world, I shared my blog. Like I shared, hey, this is a personal project I work on. I write on this blog every single week, so you can get an idea of my skills that way. And I think those little things do really stand out again to employers, to potential clients, because it shows that you're passionate. It shows that you do know what you're doing, that you can write or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah. If you could go back and because I know that, especially for a young professional that's just kind of starting my career, and I know there's some things that I wish that I did when I was first applying to jobs out of college. What is something or like a few things that you wish you did differently when,
Yeah.
first creating your LinkedIn account, first applying to jobs? Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely the social piece. I think early in our careers, we're like so afraid to make a mistake or, we want to appear really professional. And like, that's great. Like, you absolutely should be being professional on LinkedIn. Like, we all, I think, know what that means. Nothing inappropriate. But there is still definitely a way to be social, to be fun, to be friendly in that approach that doesn't feel so cold because I think that's what I did. I think I just felt so cold because I was just afraid to like make a mistake. So yeah, I think something that I recommend people do is just regularly share onto your LinkedIn, just like you would on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're active on, share updates onto LinkedIn the same way. Just make sure that they're business, related to your industry, related to business. So that can be a great thing because if a recruiter or if a client or whoever sees your job application or your pitch, they go back to your profile, they're going to see, oh wow, like Aniston's really passionate about the social media marketing industry or whatever it is that you're passionate about, and it kind of humanizes you a little bit and it makes you not just like another application in the pile of applications. And then the other thing outside of just the social piece is I think really putting together portfolio content and social proof. We kind of already talked about that, but making sure that you're using those sections in your profile to highlight specific pieces of work that you've done or cool things that you've been mentioned in and really using that to your advantage because those are the things that help you stand out is one, your personality, and two, your proof of concept, like your work that you've done. So make sure to share it wherever you can.
Yeah. Okay, last thing before we dive in. Um, when this doesn't pertain to a profile, but when it comes to reaching out or networking, what do you think are some best practices for, either reaching out to specifically a company, a brand, or an individual? Because I know that it can feel daunting to just kind of cold message someone and be like, hey, I'm a
Yeah.
young professional looking to network. Any kind of tips you have?
Um, don't immediately just send a Calendly link or your scheduling link. I get those all the time. It's like, hi, I don't know you. Here's my link to book a call. And it's like, what, you have to build relationships. That's what sales is really all about. If we can reframe it to just building relationships, I think we can all do it. We all know how to do that. We all know how to make a friend. And so that's what you want to do. Find someone that you want to work with, just connect with them, send them a message because those messages will help you stand out. But don't make it, hey, like I want to manage your social media or I want to, work for you just right off the bat. Just make it friendly. Hey, I love your company. I think it's really cool. Mention something specific. I saw this campaign recently. It was really well done. I'm also in the marketing industry. I'd love to connect. And then this is where your profile really comes in and does the work for you because if your profile is optimized and does share what you do, it should really be selling for you. It should make that person be like, oh, okay, like that person is a social media freelancer or whatever. Let me reach out to them. And you can kind of start to build the relationship that way. I think the only exception is if you're actually applying to a job, I think it's totally fine to mention that job posting. If you find sometimes, not all of them, but on some of the LinkedIn job posts, they'll actually have the recruiter or whoever posted the job, their profile listed. So I think that can be a major cheat code is just going and finding them on LinkedIn after you submit your application and saying, hey, I just applied to the social media specialist role, would love to connect. And again, that can give you just like a little bit of a boost in the job process.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, let's dive into some live audits. So
Yeah.
we've had a few people send their profiles, so we're just going to go ahead and share their profiles and just give some, suggestions and some tips and advice how to best optimize audit LinkedIn account. So let's dive into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, first we have Christina. Um, Sorry, it's a little hard for me. It's kind of small.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
Okay, got the glasses on. That's
Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, I can see now.
okay.
So, Christina is a content creator, social media strategist, and it looks like Socially Chrissy is her company and video editor. So, this is something we didn't talk about. Is this headline piece is really important too. You kind of talked about the skills, like what skills should we rank for? This is another area where I'd really think about those keywords, and it looks like Christina is doing a good job of that. Content creator, social media strategist, video editor. I think those are good. Like I think that's a pretty good headline. If I had to be really nitpicky here, I would say it feels kind of like a list, like a keyword list, as
Mhm.
opposed to maybe reframing it to like the I help statements are always a good place to start. I help, solopreneurs create video content or something like that. So I can, if I'm reading this, I can see myself in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, like she can really help me.
Yeah,
So maybe like rephrasing that kind of top statement a little bit, but I think the keywords are there, which is good.
yeah. When it comes to the background picture, that's always
Mm,
something that's, like what do you do? What do you add that's gonna
yeah.
help I guess reflect who you are and then also not overwhelm or clutter your profile.
Yeah, that's a good point. And don't look at mine because mine is probably terrible right now. So I'm giving advice on something I need to update too.
Me
But
too.
but yeah, it is. It's valuable real estate because you're right. It's funny. I didn't even like notice that, but that's a big open space that could tell a lot more about Christina's, story and business. So I think, depending on what you want to do, I think pictures really speak louder than words in this case, especially because Christine is a content creator. So I'm sure she has photos of her taking video content or taking photos of her clients or, working with clients. I think that could be really compelling right there because so much of LinkedIn is just words. So use that real estate wisely. Also, though, it depends on what you're doing. Like, I worked with authors, if they're launching a book, they have a picture of their book and, the pre-order information or the launch date. Or um, if you want to keep it like clean and polished, you could do the same thing with your business logo and contact information. So you can get creative with it. But I think in Christina's case, I would love to see some imagery since
Yeah.
that's what she does.
Okay, let's see her activities, some of the posts.
Hmm.
So it looks like she reposted this.
Yep.
Um,
Cool. And then, so yeah, I think this is a great example, like I said, of being social, like, and not just reposting or not just posting her own stuff, but actually tagging people. Like, this is a great way to kind of to your last question too of reaching out to people. Like, if let's just pretend, I don't know the relationship between these two, but let's just pretend Ashton Keys is somebody Christina wanted to work with. Well, this is a great way to do those like gentle nudges without being like, hey, here's my Calendly, here's my link. It's just, oh wow, I really love Ashton's thing. So tagging people is a great way to be social. Yeah, I think this is a great example of doing that. And it's easy, like it doesn't have to take all day long. You don't have to write these amazing like novels. You can just repost stuff and
yeah,
get social that way.
yeah, this is another example.
Hmm.
She could have maybe added in some context too with this when
Yeah,
reposting, like you said earlier.
yep,
Um,
for sure.
let's see if she's had any, of her own.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like kind of a lot of, here's one, 2 weeks ago. So I think this is a good example of, I would love to see a little more of this,
Mhm.
this like just original storytelling from Christina. Um, lots of reposts, even the video content is great. But what LinkedIn really likes in their algorithm, at least right now, is text. They like storytelling.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's still how a lot of people, we have to think that on LinkedIn, a lot of people are tuning in at work. They're I know that's what I did when I worked a corporate job. I would often like scroll LinkedIn in my downtime. So I wasn't necessarily turning my volume on and watching a video. I was reading a lot. So I'd love to see a little more of that because,
Yeah,
again, Christina's great. Like the stuff that she writes is great and compelling. And I know she has interesting stories to tell. So I'd love to see a little more of that.
yeah. Even this is another example of a great way where she's really personalized her account and brought it to, um, yeah, a more like authentic level of she wants to build a community and both, professionally and socially, but
Yep.
things that she's passionate about. Um, I think that's sign up for the Social Moms newsletter and join the village. That's, you know,
Yeah.
so many people would read that and immediately be like, yes, I want to join that. So I think
Yes.
you could definitely, use
Yep.
that and run with it.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Okay, I'm just gonna look too at the experience
Yep.
and skills.
Yeah. So here's an example of kind of what I was talking about using this section too. Social media strategist, social literacy. We've got the skills, which you asked about, which is great, but we don't have much else. I would love like, just a little mini paragraph, just a few sentences of what exactly does social literacy do? What is her role as a social media strategist? Because again, I think nowadays we're in this place where like social media strategist can mean a lot of different things. Are
Yeah.
there particular platforms that Christy specializes in? Are there any highlights about clients she's worked with, if there's any like standout clients that she wants to share. Yeah, I would love a little more in this section.
And then in terms of education, do you think, how do people expand on that to
Mm-hmm.
say, beyond the, okay, I got a degree.
Yep. There is a courses section where you can actually list out relevant courses if you want to. Because Chrissy's degrees in social work, I'm not sure if that would apply. I'm sure there are probably some electives though that, I went to school for film. I didn't go to school for marketing or PR. And so I had to get really creative when I pulled out the individual courses, but I took a lot of electives that I could tie back to marketing or to what I do now.
Yeah.
Um, and then also I'm trying to think to my profile. I also have a clubs section. So I was in the Filmmakers Association when I was in school. So I have that listed there. Um, I don't know. I can't recall if you can actually write anything like about your experience off the top of my head, but
I don't know
yeah,
either.
I know. I'm like, I can't remember, but just seeing if there's courses or maybe clubs or activities you could add there.
I was just gonna look at the skills too. So all of these look great. I mean,
Yep.
I can you add? I don't know if you can add blurbs in here either. I guess.
You can't. Yeah, you can't really say anything about it. It just kind of is what it is. It's just the term.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, okay. Let's move on to the next account.
Yeah. I think this looks great overall. Just a couple of little additions I think will really bring it to the next level.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have Danielle's account.
Amazing.
So immediately I can see looks, very professional, looks like she
Yep.
had. I like the photography. That's
Hmm.
count. So she's a marketing manager.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I like the picture as well. Her profile picture is great too, like really clear, really professional headshot. I'll be nitpicky on the header photo though. Like I would love to see a face or
Oh,
like something, like something other than because my eye goes to the eucalyptus, which I love eucalyptus, so I love that. But like again, this is really valuable real estate, so I would love to see Danielle working with a client or even just like smiling or working on her computer or something like that. That's a little more inviting than just kind of like, looking over her shoulder.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the title marketing manager. I think you could add. I guess if obviously that's her main role, but adding in one or two more skills that kind of because obviously like we said marketing social media management can encompass a lot,
Yeah.
so probably niching down to okay, what exactly what are you a marketing manager of,
Yeah.
just to make it super clear.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
dedicated to elevating luxury lifestyle brands. So she could even add marketing manager lifestyle luxury lifestyle. um,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of niching down, like honing in on exactly who she's helping. Um, yeah, for sure. I'm just scanning through this about section too since you opened it up. I think this is really good. Like, I really like that she's telling a story about, we see some of the like social proof and experience in here with over a decade in advertising. We have an understanding of her niche, elevating luxury lifestyle brands. Um, and I also really love this like last paragraph where she's talking about kind of why she got into this. Post motherhood, I envisioned a balanced life where I could cherish moments with my little ones while helping brands narrate their stories. Um, so I think that's pretty interesting. Like that's going to speak to a particular client who maybe is also a mother who just also understands that desire for work life balance. So I like that. I think she did a good job with that.
yeah. Okay. This is, I think, a cool repost. Oh, social media day. Yeah.
Hmm.
Handy checklist of essential daily, weekly, monthly social media management tasks. Yeah. And this, she could even have added a blurb too of maybe if
Hmm.
she uses this or, how you can utilize this and adding it into your daily management. Um,
Yeah,
but a good resource, definitely.
for sure.
Let's see, alt posts.
Got it. This is a report on influencer marketing versus traditional ads. I like that there is some commentary added there too.
Yeah.
We've got a press feature. So that's something I don't think this is, I didn't see this in like the highlighted section, but this is a place that, like I said, she could, click on those three dots and add it to her profile if she wanted to as
Yeah.
social proof.
I don't know if there's a way, if this was the cover photo, but
Yeah.
making the cover photo, pop and, a picture of her or a picture of her working, I think that would
Yep.
really catch client reader's eye.
Totally agree. So I think a lot of what Danielle is sharing is good, but as we can see, we quickly got to the 5 year point. So it looks like it's just not very frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I say make this a part of your, weekly routine. I don't think you have to post. The cool thing about LinkedIn is you really don't have to post 2 times a day like you do to stand out on Twitter or, daily, I think like maybe you do on Instagram. I think a little goes a long way on LinkedIn. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you just schedule a weekly post, through Metricool once a week to go out, I think that's going to keep your profile fresh. And there are so many different features too to be able to, repurpose content and things like that, that it shouldn't be too difficult. The other thing I'll say really quickly about the like the first repost that she shared,
Mm-hmm.
I always like to just remind social media managers, marketing managers to always tie it back to a client too. Because, like, for me, looking as somebody in the social media industry, that article looked really helpful to me. But I want to know, how is that going to help your client? So like you said, maybe just adding a little commentary of, hey, these are tasks that social media managers are responsible for. Wouldn't it be nice if you, the business owner, didn't have to think about these things? And like,
Yeah,
tying it back to how I can help you as opposed to just kind of speaking to each other.
definitely. Okay. So yeah, education, skills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, cool. I didn't know the recommendations, but that's
Yes.
a section.
Yeah. Yeah. This is another great way to have some social proof on your profile, which is really nice. You can, it looks like she's got great ones. Can you click on the given section? I want to see if
Yeah.
she has written any too. Yeah. So, yeah, she's written some too, which is great. That just shows like that reciprocal
Yeah.
um, relationship. Some of them are a little bit older. I know I'm like bad about this too. I should probably request some new ones, but you can actually request them too. If from your connections, there's a feature in there. So if she has any clients that she's worked with recently or colleagues, she could. Another thing you can do is just write one for somebody else, and that kind of encourages them to write one for you back too, if you wanted to, you know,
Okay.
get some newer ones.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's
Oh,
go to the next one.
cool. Great job, Danielle.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Valerie.
Valerie, she's
Yep.
a creative set. So right away you can see creative strategist, um,
Mm-hmm.
social media manager, crafting engaging social strategies, creating UGC content. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, right off the gate see that
Yep.
she's social media manager, creative strategist. Um,
I love the photo. This is kind of what I was saying. Like, I love that we see, a smiling face in there. We see, some kind of action going on. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, but we see some action, which is nice. So I like that.
yes.
Um, I think she's hitting on all the keywords in the headline, which is nice too. And I think this is a good example of like, especially the second two, crafting engaging social strategies and creating UGC content for wellness brands. Like, I think that really speaks directly to her niche and to exactly how she can help me.
Yeah. I think she did a great job too of, you know, giving a short blurb and kind of inviting the viewer or client to be, interested. Okay, I want to read more. I want to know more about
Yep.
Valerie, and a super great call to action. Just book a free call with me. I think that's like
Mm-hmm.
a great way to draw someone in, especially if they're, looking a client, or they're looking for some help.
Yep.
I was just going to go to her about. I like this. Digital world is more than just posting to Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very attention grabbing,
Mhm.
and again, I think there's like, I can help you. Like, I think that's really important. Sometimes we use LinkedIn as just like I said, a resume, or like, here's all the things I've done, but you got to tie it back. Like, this is the sales piece where we're tying it back to how can this help me as a business owner or potential client?
Yeah. I love this. Let me introduce myself. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a great way to personalize your feed and, you
Yep.
know, put yourself. And if someone were to view this, if I were to view this, then I would feel connected already to her.
Yep. For sure. Yep. And this section, I think this is the first. I think maybe Danielle had this too. But this is the first one that we've really went into that has this providing services
Yeah.
section turned on. So if anyone's curious, this is something that you can turn on within LinkedIn. And it's kind of like a marketplace almost for freelancers, where you can say, hey, I'm available for these services, and that's where you can list out, like Valerie had, her different services, turn on reviews so your clients can review you as a business owner too, and then it'll show up on your profile, just like it does
Yeah.
in that blue box.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she has some, you can see this is the intro video, her
Yep.
services, UGC portfolio, super clear. And her profile, it seems very easy to go through. It seems clear. She has all of her, all of
Yep.
her portfolio, all of her services, everything that she does, clear to see.
Yep. For sure.
And then some of the posts.
So we've got kind of a repost with a little bit of commentary there.
Mhm.
A
Oh, for me?
repost. Yeah. So a repost there. A new position. Congrats, Valerie. And it looks like this is another repost. So I'm going to give some of the same feedback here. I think Valerie's profile looks amazing. I think she's sharing really good content. But I feel like one thing is it feels very, I'm missing that personal story. I'm missing that little bit of that personal connection. So I would love to see just some text posts. Again, I would love to, she's a very creative person. She's clearly like a very good copywriter in the about section, all that. I'd love to see a little bit of just, hey, what's going on? Even like in that video that she shared of mine, that was a, kind of what's new in social media video. I would love it if she kind of pulled out one of the stories that I talked about and say, hey, here's what I think about this. Or that video was about the Kendall Jenner AI thing. What does Valerie think the future of these AI bots are, and tie it back to her clients? Like, hey, I could see my clients using this as blah, 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 or maybe not. Maybe I don't want my clients to use
Yeah,
this. So love to just see like a little bit of that personalization.
definitely. It also seems like she's had a ton of different experience in, Air Canada and
Mm-hmm.
site supervisor at vaccination clinic, and it, obviously social media marketing manager for wellness inspired therapeutic services. I want
Yep.
to know what, brought her to the wellness industry, why she's passionate about that. I think that
Yeah.
would be a really great story to tell, because it obviously seems like she's had a ton of experience in the wellness industry. So,
Yeah.
I'd love to know how she got into that.
For sure. For sure.
But
And
her profile does seem very, very full, very complete,
yep.
with a lot of information.
Yep. And we've got the certifications too. That's another area that she's got my social media management accelerator certification, which is cool. Also, some from Google,
Yeah.
Sprinkler, different certifications. So, HubSpot, that was one of my first certifications I ever got. So, great use of that too. Like, these are things that can show social proof, because I don't remember, did she go to school for anything related to what she's doing now? Business administration, so kind of, but it
Mhm.
looks like she really wanted to like upskill, reskill, to do specifically marketing and social media. So that's something I always tell people, like, taking a course, taking a class is a great way to be able to do that and show that experience off in your profile too.
Definitely. Okay.
Cool. Great job,
Yeah.
Valerie.
I love seeing everyone's profiles and also gaining insight for how I can optimize mine.
Right. I know. I'm like, I gotta go edit my profile after
Me too.
this. Don't look at it right now.
Okay. Keith Hayes. Let's dive into it.
Awesome.
Portfolio marketing manager at Elsevier.
Okay.
Um,
I'm going to be honest. I would love to see the headline again be a little more descriptive because, like, I don't really know what. Maybe I'm silly here, but I don't really know what a portfolio marketing manager does.
yep.
So I would love just a little more about that. Like, you could even do just like a little break, dash break kind of thing that says like, I help, this brand do X or responsible for X at this brand.
Yeah.
Just to give a little more clarity around it for people like me who maybe don't know exactly what that means or haven't heard of that company.
Yeah. Especially because, talks about engineering, researchers, digital marketing, skill development. So that's a lot of different, skills and
Yeah.
definitely, when
Yeah.
you view this, it seems like he has a lot of very knowledge, very, experienced, but the specifics of it are missing, I think.
Yeah. Agreed. I like that we're looking at a kind of corporate
Mhm.
example though too, because we've looked at a lot of entrepreneurs. So this is fun. So he's using the featured section, and it looks like if I had to guess, this is probably like a one of his corporate leads or something like that was in a blogger. It looks like it says it's a webinar hosted with a fellow employee.
Yep.
So love that he's using that to, showcase his employer. And also, this is a really good example of like showcasing his employer, promoting that, because that's part of his, part of the job of his LinkedIn profile is to promote the employer, right? But it's also showcasing his skills and his, portfolio because it looks like he hosted this webinar. So it makes him look good too. So choosing those pieces if you're working a day job that selfishly make you look good, but also are helping your company are important there too.
Definitely. Okay, let's see his posts. Yep, so it looked like he was promoting the webinar that was.
Yep. Great job, like tagging everybody, tagging the organization that they're talking about. So those are great ways to generate some more engagement. Got
Mhm.
another tagging of a person and a repost. More reposts. So it looks like he's getting in here maybe once a week minimum.
Mhm.
Again, would love to see like some original content in that. It looks like a lot of it is kind of original share or reposts. Love to see some more original shares.
Yeah.
And here, like I think again, pretty good job of adding some personality to this about section too. He's talking about being a new father as well,
Yeah.
so adding a little bit of that personality in is nice. I think again, we only have like one or two lines about what his current role is, so I'd love to see just a little more. I mean, you don't have to write a book about it by any means, but maybe just highlighting like a couple of key projects he's worked on or a couple of strategies he uses to help engineers and researchers leverage their portfolio of solutions. Like even just highlighting, hey, I participate in webinars, I do whatever else he does in his day-to-day job. I think can be
Yeah,
helpful there too.
definitely. Yeah, because it looks like he's had a ton of experience.
Yep.
So, like a lot of experience.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
I mean, like you've said too, this is a place to, showcase your experience, showcase what you
Yep.
do, and really hype yourself up. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
But
Again,
yep.
licenses, certifications, he's got those, so that's great.
Mhm. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, all of these profiles obviously very thorough, very professional, but like all of us, there's things that we can always improve on and tweak, which it's cool to look at other people's profiles and put it into perspective, especially as we're users as
Yeah.
well. We're not just so we're looking at this through kind of fresh eyes of what a user would like to see when they're
Mm-hmm.
looking. So
Yep.
okay,
Awesome. So
Alexander. Oh,
Alexander. Awesome. So Alexander is a customer success expert, monetize customer happiness, mentorship and development coach, freelance writer, moving business forward. So all of that sounds very positive and wonderful. I will say it's a little overwhelming. I don't know
yes.
how you feel. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Going on.
yeah, again, I think there's a way that we can probably condense this a little bit into a story. I try to think of it that way. Like, what at the end of the day, what do I really help my clients with? Because I do a million different things as well. Like we all wear a million different hats.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I help my businesses, show up on social media with content or how can you kind of condense that? So maybe it is I help like move business forward through customer success and customer happiness or something like that, like kind of turn it into a little mini paragraph as opposed to kind of listing out a bunch of different hats that we wear. I think that would be a little more easily digestible for potential clients or companies.
Yes. Let's look at the services. So yeah, once again, I think this was in Valerie's where she had at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom kind of some of her featured like her highlights. So adding in, some sample work or like Valerie did, I think the kind of introduction, the video of herself,
Yeah.
um, that was really positive.
Yep. Yeah, I think even the like she had some PDFs where she had kind of like a brochure almost for her services. I think
Mhm.
that would be helpful, especially for Alexander, who, if he is offering a bunch of different services, it looks like there was like coaching, there was customer service, there's kind of a lot of different things. And I think it's okay if you have a large service menu, but I need to be able to sift through that, and see like what exactly do you offer and how can I engage with you. So yeah, maybe that would be a good solution too, is to add like a PDF in there.
Also, I see the link, it looks like to his resume or website, resume website. Um, I don't know if I don't know if there's a way in the highlighted to like add a link to the website too, but I think I mean, I'm always like a visual person. I kind
Yeah.
of, so I think with something like that, your resume highlighted work, I think I would be more inclined to click or to look if it's, shows a little preview of it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Also, that link is really, really long. So I wonder if because it looks like, and I don't know this off the top of my head, but it looks like Valerie's had a CT, it had like a text CTA, as opposed to just the like raw link. So
yes,
maybe,
yes.
he could change that just to say, hey, view my portfolio here, instead of having that like super long Squarespace link.
Hmm.
I love the photos. Like
Yeah.
I will say, like, again, this is what I mean about LinkedIn is it's a social media platform. We don't have to be afraid to post a selfie. Like, that was a professional selfie. He's wearing a suit, like he's clearly at a work event or something. So
Yeah,
post a selfie. Like just do it.
definitely. Yeah.
Hmm. And
Looks
so
like
we've
he's
got,
posting some valuable and some like for example this, great that
yeah,
but I would love another blurb on it of why he's passionate. Like obviously this is a really positive,
yep,
repost. So another
yeah.
just maybe another sentence about it.
Yeah, for sure. I like that I'm seeing his personality and like his values coming through too in on LinkedIn. Like, again, I think that's something that we don't have to be afraid of on LinkedIn. Maybe that was a little taboo 10, 15 years ago when it first came out, but
Yeah.
you can post things that you're passionate about. And those things do tie back to the workplace and, how we treat people and clients that we work with and all of that. But yeah, again, to your point, I agree. Like, posting a little blurb about why that's important to you or how that does tie back to the business, I think could be really valuable there.
Hmm. And yeah, I think this about section 2 can be expanded on. Um,
Hmm.
it doesn't really tell, you know, that personal story, that doesn't have that personal edge,
Yeah.
um, and not super clear of, okay, experienced development consultant, in what? In
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I need more because I'm like I think that could definitely be taken a lot of different ways. Like, I don't really know what a development consultant does. I think so much of the like anything related to like business and marketing nowadays is so there's so many different routes that you can take and kind of hats that we wear. So I kind of need it spelled out for me. Like, thinking put yourself in your clients or your potential employer's position. They don't live in this world. Like, they don't do this stuff all day long,
yep,
so they need it really spelled out to them. Like, I help do XYZ. Like, what is the deliverable that you provide, what is the key service that you offer, and then you can kind of go from there. But always think with their how they're going to be doing this.
yeah. Okay, I think that might be all the time we have for
Yeah.
sharing and auditing live. I'm just going to open it up to some Q&A if anyone wants to drop some questions. Um, Phoenix, or no, sorry. Phoenix asked if there's a way to submit LinkedIn profiles. So I think if people want it, we could do a part 2 of this. Also, Sandra was talking about auditing brand pages. So
Mm.
maybe we could have a part 2 where we focus on brand pages.
Yeah.
She's a content manager looking for ways to grow followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
So definitely we could do a part 2 of this
for
and
sure.
into that more professional or that the brand side of it. I was just going to share some resources too. So we have created a competitor analysis template, and we're going to drop that. So if anyone wants to, use that when they're going to see what their competitors are doing, this is a great tool to, see how your competitors are utilizing their profiles and what content they're posting, what's working well for them. Um, People can utilize that.
Amazing.
And yeah, I don't know if anyone has any other questions, but we just dropped the competitor analysis template. And then Latasha, you also just had a new YouTube video if you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect timing because I just posted about the Metricool competitor analysis features, which are amazing. And when I was even recording that video, I was like having some light bulb moments myself because I was like, hey, I didn't even consider like these a couple of different, tactics that other YouTubers were using. You can see like what content is working for them, what their average kind of engagement rate is, which is helpful when you're benchmarking and seeing like, am I doing good or not? Because some can sometimes be a little confusing. So yeah, I shared all of that. It's one of the latest videos on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But so important to do. It's scary, I think. Like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to look at the competition. I don't want, just put the blinders on, but it is really helpful to see, just to benchmark, to get good ideas, to see what not to do. So, and it's really easy in the Metricool tool as well. You don't have to manually pull a bunch of profiles.
Yeah. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Metricool, we are an all-in-one social media management tool. So you can create your free account. If you want to upgrade to a premium account, you can use code LinkedIn23 to try any of our Metricool premium plans. LinkedIn is a advanced feature or advanced connection. So when you create a premium plan, that unlocks LinkedIn connection. So if you want to try and look at how your content's performing, how your competitors are performing, this is a great tool to really get started, jumpstart your LinkedIn journey. And
I love it. That's my favorite thing about Metricool is being able to do all the analysis and reporting and all of like the competitor stuff. It's so helpful. I just have not found that level of, detail in other platforms out there. So that's what I like. That's my thing that I'm always using it for is checking in on my own reports, looking at competitor stuff. So definitely check it out.
yeah. Okay, before we leave, Phoenix has a question. I generally see LinkedIn as a secondary or tertiary platform. Would you all agree?
I disagree. I think it depends. I mean, I really say go where your audience is, go where your ideal clients are. So it depends. Like, yeah, maybe if you are providing, let's just say, social media services to solopreneurs, um, maybe not. Maybe they're on Instagram or TikTok even or YouTube. Like maybe that's your primary. But if you're doing anything in the B2B industry, so if you're selling services to other businesses, larger companies, if you're looking for, to work in-house somewhere and get a job, I think there is a lot of value in LinkedIn. And I also think the kind of nature of LinkedIn has changed so much. Again, it used to be like you go there to apply for jobs or to basically be a resume. But nowadays, I mean, I don't really scroll like Facebook or Twitter that much when I'm working, but I scroll LinkedIn. That's kind of like my water cooler app because I'm a business owner. So I'm looking at what's going on in the industry and if, networking with people who I might eventually hire or collaborate with or brands I want to work with. So I think it depends. I don't know. What's your take on it, Aniston?
I was going to say that I think it's hard to compare LinkedIn, especially to Instagram, Facebook, because the strategies are going to be so different. We don't have the same, like we look today, there's completely different sections, completely different content that's on LinkedIn. So I think it's hard to compare them as, I think it's almost kind of two different strategies that you need to have. I think we talked about that LinkedIn should become more of the social platform where you're engaging with your audience. But since it's such a professional network, I think it really can be a primary platform on its own of building up your experience, building up your resume, kind of as, a showcase of all of your work, what you do, your services. Rather than Instagram and Facebook, which can, obviously display those, but in a more engaging, kind of social, more playful way almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining. Latasha, thank you. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Um, Let us know if you guys want a part two because I think we can still dive into a lot. LinkedIn is a platform that I think you can, you know,
Yeah.
like look at and learn to optimize, learn to use over and over. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many features we actually didn't even talk about. Like they have a newsletter feature, blogging, like there's so many different things. So yeah, I'm sure we have a lot more to say on this if you want to.
Well, yes, then stay tuned for the next Audit series because we'll do a LinkedIn part two. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a great day. Thanks again, Latasha.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, we will see you guys next time.